Good morning, everyone. Take your seat, please. My name is Svetlana Mikhailovska, and I'm Deputy Director of the European Business Association and representative of Global Business for Ukraine, the organization which was established last year to accumulate global and European businesses around Ukraine. First of all, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for joining us today and for showing your interest in Ukraine. We have now initial welcoming remarks. And first of all, let me ask our host, ArcelorMittal representative Oleg Krikavsky, maybe some words.
Thank you very much for coming here. I represent ArcelorMittal. We are a very big company in Ukraine. I think one of the biggest and successful privatization project in Ukraine. And it's a very great pleasure for me that our headquarters is hosting such a great event here. We welcome all the guests. Thank you very much, Shashed Affairs, Natalia Noshina, for joining us. We are a very reliable partner of Ukrainian government in Ukraine, and we're very happy to see you here. I'm here. I'm actually based in Kyiv, office of ArcelorMittal Kryvyi Rih, and for all the potential interested parties, if you are interested in a business environment or you have some questions, so I'm here with you. Please come to talk. And again, we are very welcome this event, and I wish us success for today event. And let's join us and join on this trip of Ukrainian investment opportunities together. Thank you, Svetlana, for such a nice initiative. And let's start.
Thank you. Let's start. So let me briefly explain you what is it about. I mean, what this event is about. There are a number of initiatives going on and issues going around Ukraine. Ukraine is in focus, not only in Europe, but globally. There are lots of challenges that Ukrainian business face right now. And it's very important to share the information about business climate, about business environment, but what is most important about business opportunities. Because when it comes to sustainable development, it's about business to business. So this event is mostly addressed to business community, international organizations, to spread information about opportunities that you may find in Ukraine. Today, you will see the presentation of a very useful tool, how to find your partner in Ukraine, how to invest in Ukraine, being secured at the same time. We will have several speakers from businesses with their projects already placed in our investment map. You will hear the presentation about the investment guide prepared by our partners. But first of all, let me say big thank you to Natalia Noshina for supporting this event and for joining us today. So Natalia, the floor is yours with welcoming remarks to our audience, both online and offline.
Dear Svetlana, dear participants of the event, dear organizers, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to start my speech with the expression of the gratitude to Luxembourg and Luxembourgish people for all unwavering support and huge practical assistance that they sent to Ukraine. I would like to continue with the words that Ukraine now is in the struggle with the enemy, in the struggle with brutal Russian occupiers. Luxembourg have been with us since the first day of the war. And with such true friends, we will definitely win. Our brave warriors are moving forward to the victory, And yesterday we had a state holiday, Day of Ukrainian Defenders, a holiday of millions Ukrainians who defend our land. Yesterday at 9 o'clock in the morning, Ukrainians stopped for 1 minute as a sign of respect and gratitude to our defenders. And each next year, on the 1st October, we will have the same minute at the same time. The fight for our identity and independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and European values is continued. The enemy is a terrorist state, Russia. Their cruelty has no limits. Russians have been killing Ukrainians, adults, and children for 585 days. But life and justice must prevail. The Russian aggression must end with our victory, so that Russia will never even try to do the same with any other countries. Russia must lose, and it will lose. To make it real, we need to receive weapons in time. Weapons will allow us to save thousands of lives of civilians and of our defenders. Never before Russian aggression has met such strong resistance. Putin is forced to humiliate himself by personally entertaining a delegation from North Korea and trying to find favor with Tehran. And this is a clear weakness. We have to continue to be united in the fight against evil. The aggressor systematically shells our critical infrastructure, grain corridors, residential areas, hospitals, schools, kindergartens. Now Ukraine needs help from the international community even more than ever. We ask for the strong support of our foreign friends in rebuilding Ukraine. And we ask about strong support in implementation of peace formula of the President of Ukraine. We need help in energy security. Terrorist state has already started its airstrikes on energy infrastructure, willing to put Ukrainians into dark. Once again, Ukraine urgently needs transformers and generators to survive during cold winter. Besides, Ukraine is in a great need of all-wheel vehicles that are able to drive in rain, snow, and muddy season. These cars are used by our medical team to save the lives of people still living in proximity of battlefields. At this time, Ukrainian children are in huge need of laptops. Many of them are studying at home, in basements and subways. During this time, we had already learned who is our friend, partner, and ally, and who is on the side of the terrorist country. We are not giving up our territories. We are not sitting down to negotiate with the enemy until it liberates all the occupied territories, including Crimea. Now, I would like to express gratitude to Svetlana, the European Business Association, for organizing this very useful event, to ArcelorMittal and personally to Mr. Vijay Gold, CEO of ArcelorMittal, for the unwavering support of Ukraine and Ukrainians since the beginning of the full-scale Russian aggression. We know this very good. We know about huge assistance, and we do appreciate it. And also, our thanks to all partners and to all companies that supported the event, to Luxembourg Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce, to GB4U, and all people who helped to organize the event. Luxembourg will remain in hearts of many Ukrainians. It's moving forward together to the victory of Ukraine. Glory to Luxembourg, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Slava Ukraini!
Thank you very much, Natalia. Very strong words. Thank you. And now I'd like to pass the floor to my partner, friend, and the person without her, actually, this event would never happen, Valeria Kotsur, AML Fund.
Thanks a lot. Dear guests, friends, on-site, online, we're really happy to see you here. We really appreciate your support. I would like to say that yesterday we had the Day of Defenders of Ukraine, and I would like to also support all of the defenders who are not only in Ukraine, but who are also defending our state outside of our borders. For all of you, for all of the people, for all of the businesses, for all of the volunteers who are doing a great job. Thanks a lot for you. This is why we also managed to have this event here. This is why we also managed to help support Ukraine. This is why we also support business in Ukraine. Today is a big day for us here in Luxembourg. We have one event here. Second event will be in the House of Startups just across the street, where we will present another guide which we created together with the Luxembourg ecosystem. But today we would like to present to you also Ukraine Investor Guide. Why? Because we believe that Luxembourg is a strong position here in Europe in terms of administration of investments, administration of fund flow, administration of assets under management, administration of back office, administration of compliance and governance. This is why our big presence in terms of the landscape of European fund administration, fund industry is massive, and this is where we see our strengths here in Luxembourg. With the help of a lot of stakeholders from the think tank, which was initiated here in Luxembourg, we created the investment guide, which you will be able to also upload online on our webpage of the Ukraine platform ISBL. The idea of the investor guide is to actually find the synergies, to explain Ukrainian business and to explain investors that, of course, we don't expect that the investments will come directly to Ukraine. Of course, we understand that it's a structural and complex process. And of course, it involves a lot of stakeholders. For this, I will also pass the word to our friends, Arend and Medernach, to Thomas. He will explain our investment fund toolbox, which you will be able to also read in the investor guide. But otherwise, I would like to say that we cannot draw unicorns everywhere. We cannot expect that we will have investments running now into Ukraine. Everyone is saying that, yes, we have a lot of risks. They are obvious, but we have to start now. We have to find proper partners to collaborate. We don't want Ukrainian name to associate with the speculation. We don't want Ukrainian name to associate with anything about corruption. This is why our society is fighting against these risks, which actually are everywhere, all over, even developed, highly developed countries. It's just named differently. So this is where I would like to draw your attention to the fact that when you will hear our representatives from Ukraine describing investment projects, this is where you will see also our investment map, which was created by Global Business for Ukraine, by European Business Association, together with Ukraine Investment Promotion Office. You can see that the projects are not that easy. You can see that we need a lot of support in terms of structuring the things, in terms of understanding how we can align doing business in Ukraine and in Luxembourg. And this is where we really try to be here in Luxembourg to present our strengths, to explain that we understand that the road is long, but we really want to go together with you on this road to recovery of Ukraine. Thanks a lot.
And now I'm passing the floor to Evgenia Pali, Ukrainian Luxembourg Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you very much, Svetlana. Your Excellency, Chargé d'Affaires at the Embassy of Ukraine in the Kingdom of Belgium and Luxembourg, dear colleagues, dear present in the Honorable Council, and heads of all the associations, Ukrainian associations who are doing so much for Ukraine. Happy to see you here, and happy that so many people online and offline are interested in Rebuild Ukraine. As mentioned earlier, indeed, every day there are so many bombs and their country is ruined every day. But despite of this, Ukrainian business is showing resilience. The country is showing that the business is adapting to all new challenges, to the challenges of logistics. The business is paying taxes. The business is creating new places, employment, and to be honest, since the last year, it's interesting, 18 new factories were built in Ukraine. The investors are investing and creating new opportunities. You are thinking whether it's a right moment to come, and of course everyone is waiting for the day of victory to come to Ukraine to invest, but to be honest, it's already late. There are so many investors from our bordering countries who believe in Ukraine, from Poland, from Romania, who are already there. People are coming and trying to take places in Ukraine now. People understand that the opportunities after will be flourishing, and it's important to come and create the places of investment today. I would like to recommend to have a look at Ukraine separately and do the decentralized in different regions. And it's fantastic work that EBA and Ukraine Invest have done with the project of opportunities in investments into a whole country, because you can see different regions differently. Each region differs from each other. There are opportunities in different, depending on geography, depending on the border, and for the opportunities of the same region. So whether it's risky to come to Ukraine, yes, it is, but it's more risky not to come now, to wait for later. So I would like to think, to have a look into the projects, to talk to the representatives of Ukraine, and to see the opportunities of investment to Ukraine now. Wishing you good luck, and good luck to EBA for this really great project with the opportunities of investment to Ukraine. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Evgenia. There's a lot has been said already about this investment map. So let me ask colleagues to show the video. You don't hear the sound, but the music is nice, actually, and very funny. So you see, as already mentioned, this is very colorful map divided in all regions and oblasts of Ukraine, where you may see Thank you. So first of all, a couple of words about EBA and GB4U. European Business Association is over 23 years old organization, and is the largest and powerful, influential international business community in Ukraine. We support companies these days, not only in Ukraine by addressing the issues and concerns and questions and problems they are facing right now, arranging transparent dialogue with the government and parliament and different stakeholders to support their activities. But we also support them now also from abroad, establishing a platform for this kind of dialogue with the European institution in view of the hopefully upcoming European integration dialogues between EU and Ukraine. Last year, we also launched GB4U organization, exterritorial arm of the European Business Association, an organization that unites companies that have Ukraine in their business perspective radars. As Evgenia mentioned, investment opportunities, it's about future, but Ukraine is there and right now. And we really want to share the information about the current state of play, about the business climate, and about the opportunities, so that international companies, European companies, will have chance to make their homework before entering this huge and very potential market. We really hope that this will be not just potential, but also realistic. Let me share with you some figures and numbers, because just recently we presented in Kiev during our big business event, Global Outlook, the results of our recent surveys in terms of forecasts of CEOs of our member companies in terms of the upcoming year. I must say that actually the dynamic is cautious but positive, because 58% of our members forecast positive dynamics in their business development in the upcoming year. 29% still remain their forecasts unchangeable. But I must say that 72% forecast growth in their incomes in Ukrainian hryvnias, and 55% forecast growth in physical terms. 87% forecast increase of salaries for their employees, and 65% plan to invest in social projects, when 26% plan to invest and to expand investments in business initiatives. So let's talk about these projects and initiatives that are already presented in our map. Let me put, can I have, yes, thank you. You saw already the video, but let me put it step by step. What we have as of today. Actually, this map was born just nine months ago, like a baby. But we already have 135 projects, both from municipalities and local government authorities, representing projects with regard to reconstruction, but also another half is purely business projects and initiatives. So you may see the map also provides information about regions, the current state of play in terms of business climate, infrastructure, human capital, and other resources available. As you may see, as of today, we have projects from 15 different industries. Obviously, transport and logistics, which is of high importance right now when it comes to logistics routes, both in terms of export and import and international trade. Agriculture, one of the biggest and one of the powerful industry in Ukraine, our competitive advantage. Construction, food processing, heavy industry, healthcare, fuel and energy. In terms of the current circumstances, energy and alternative energy sources are becoming more and more topical in terms of business projects. And you may also address some of your questions, and maybe if you are doing projects or initiatives in alternatives, for instance, in terms of solar panels, please contact Oleg. Oleg is here. You may discuss lots of interesting things. Obviously, light industry, tourism, waste management, extraction, industrial parks, etc. You see projects within 10 industrial parks, construction plants, etc., but also startups. As Valeria already mentioned, this map is not only big, heavy projects like classic projects. This map also just 2 days ago, we launched at the very platform another map for startups, which will be presented later on today in House of Startups. Now you see the project, the division of projects between municipalities in terms of reconstruction from municipalities, 52% and 48 projects from businesses. Different initiatives in terms of municipalities project, you may see listed below. It mostly focused on healthcare and communal services. When it comes to business, you see, again, solar power plant, Ukrainian House of Recycle, feed, soy protein concentrate projects. You will hear 2 of the project's representatives, their presentations today during this panel discussion, and 22 startups already placed in our startups map will be presented later on today. You see, and now it is very easy to navigate through the project and through the map. Any company interested in placing the project can just fill in the form, normal form, and passing these projects through our advisory board that monitors and that inspects, I would say, like due diligence, primary due diligence of any projects to be placed should pass through our advisory board. Any company interested in potential partners in Ukraine and interested in a particular project may send an inquiry. So this map is not only an information sharing tool, it's also business-to-business matching platform. I may ask any questions, both from online and offline audience, so feel free. But before doing this, I may also stress out one major thing. It is indeed very hard to explain why this or that particular company should enter Ukrainian market right now. But Ukraine, most likely, in a very already visible perspective, will become a part of Europe. We're already a part of Europe, but then we will become a part of single market. And to make this single market more efficient, Ukraine may become a valuable part of this value chain. Ukraine is very rich in terms of mineral resources. Not only, we are not talking about our soil and our agriculture. We have very talented and well-educated people, and human capital is very rich. This is very rich country. So please get acquainted about the Ukraine, know more about the projects and business opportunities. And in case you have any questions, please feel free to contact European Business Association, Global Business for Ukraine, any partners available here who joined us and supported us during this event. And if I may, if one of our partners, Invest Ukraine, is online with us, Sergei Tsivkach, Ukraine Invest, I would pass the floor to Sergei if he is online with us. Tsivkach? No, maybe he will join us a bit later. So Valeria already presented the guide, but I'd like to pass the floor to Thomas. Yes, because he will explain in terms of the tools supporting investments projects and potential investors. By the way, if one single investor is a bit hesitating or a bit afraid, Thomas will be able to provide you with some tools. but EBA will also be able to provide you with a list of partners, because being a largest international business community in Ukraine, among our members, you may always find a partner who will help you with due diligence, feasibility study, and different type of services which are needed to proceed with this investment project. Thomas, please, the floor is yours.
Good morning, or maybe, yes, considering the time, I should already say good afternoon. Thank you very much for the kind introduction and for the organization of this event and for giving me the opportunity to speak here this morning. Indeed, together with my colleague Francis Cass, I have co-authored the contribution on Luxembourg alternative investment fund structures and club deal non-AFE investment vehicles in the Ukraine Investor Guide. And so far, this event has been about the investment opportunities. I would like to seize the occasion to speak a little bit about the tools which Luxembourg has to offer in view of investments into the reconstruction of Ukraine. And I would like to give some introduction to the different vehicles which can be set up here in Luxembourg for this purpose. As you may know, Luxembourg is the #1 center for investment funds in Europe and the #2 on a global scale after the US. It has great popularity and reputation, both among fund initiators, but also among investors, and not only because of the important number of professional service providers, but also because of the legal and regulatory framework and what we typically call the Luxembourg investment fund structuring toolbox. Oh, yeah. So in the next minute, I would like to give you an overview on the structures which can be seen in the yellow frame, starting from the most regulated one to the least regulated one, but most flexible one, and ending up with non-AFE club deal vehicles, which are structured on purpose in a way to fall outside of the scope of the AIFMD, the Alternative Investment Fund Managers Directive. So starting with the undertakings for collective investment subject to Part 2 of the Luxembourg UCI law, the so-called Part 2 fund. The Part 2 fund exists since 1988 and is a regulated alternative investment fund, which is subject to the authorization and ongoing supervision of the Luxembourgish Financial Authority, the CSSF, which thereby ensures appropriate investor protection. A particularity of the Part 2 fund as an alternative fund is that this vehicle it qualifies also for retail investor distribution in Luxembourg and can market its shares or units via the AFM marketing passport to professional investors across the European Union. It has to be noted in this context that there's no passport for retail distribution, but the shares and units of such a fund can be marketed in other jurisdictions subject to compliance with local law requirements. And for instance, in practice, we have seen a Part 2 fund being listed on the stock exchange in order to allow for retail distribution in Sweden, just to give an example. But another option for retail distribution would also be the addition of an LTIF label. The Part 2 fund can be set up as an investment company, either with variable share capital or with fixed share capital, but it also can be set up in contractual form as a so-called common fund, the FCP. It can be either set up as a standalone structure or as an umbrella with different ring-fenced segregated compartments pursuing different strategies. In the Part 2 fund, there are no restrictions with respect to the eligible investments, but it is subject to certain mandatory risk spreading requirements. A CSSF circular deals with the exact details thereof, but it can be retained that the general 20% concentration limit is accepted. In terms of service providers, a Part 2 fund must appoint a regulated manager, the so-called AFM, a depositary, an administrator, and an auditor. And as far as taxation is concerned, it is tax exempt, but a general subscription tax of 5 basis points applies, which can be reduced to 1 basis point under certain circumstances, or even exemptions, therefore, are available in certain circumstances, such as for pension investors or for microfinance. As for all alternative investment funds, the fund management services are exempt from VAT. Coming now, next type of fund I would like to present, CCAR, the investment company in risk capital. It has been introduced in 2004, and as the name suggests, it is a dedicated private equity venture capital investment company regime. So a CCAR must invest its assets in risk capital investments and provide the investors with the benefit of the management thereof. The CCAR is subject to the prior approval and ongoing supervision of the CSSF. So also here, appropriate investor protection is ensured. As just mentioned, the CCAR was designed for private equity and venture capital investment policies. And as such, it must contribute directly its assets into the target entities in view of their launch, in view of their development, or potentially listing on the stock exchange. And the CSSF has further clarified this concept of risk capital and indicates that there are basically 2 cumulative criteria which are required. First one is a high risk factor, and the second one is as just mentioned, the development intent of the target entity. So the creation of an added value upon exit from the investment. A CCAR as such is not subject to risk spreading requirements, and it may, as a result, invest theoretically all its assets into one single target. On the investor side, only so-called well-informed investors may invest into a CCAR. Well-informed investors are defined as institutional investors, professional investors, but also other investors which declare that they opt into the well-informed investor status and either invest a certain minimum into the structure, which is now 100,000 euro after the reform of the law, or obtain a certification from certain financial professionals stating that they have the sufficient expertise and sophistication in order to be able to assess their investment into such a structure. As said, the CCAR is an investment company. As such, it has to be set up as a corporate structure or as a partnership. No contractual form is possible under this regime. And as such, it is typically set up as a public limited liability company or as a corporate partnership by shares or in the form of another partnership. It can also, like the Part 2 fund we talked about, it can also be set up either as a standalone structure with one investment policy or as an umbrella with different compartments. In terms of service providers, again, it must also appoint a depositary, an administrator, and an auditor, and as well as an AFM, as long as it qualifies as alternative investment fund. But a registered AFM can be used. So not necessarily the full authorization of the manager is required, but also the lighter regime can be used. In terms of taxation, The CCAR is fully subject to tax if established as a corporate entity, but there is an important exception which applies, because any income and gain deriving from risk capital is tax exempted here in Luxembourg. Coming now to the next structure, the specialized investment fund, so-called SIF. There's also a regulated investment fund regime, but which offers more of structuring flexibility. Also, this type of fund is subject to the regulatory supervision of the CSSF, and like the CCAR, it may only be offered to well-informed investors. There are indeed no investment restrictions as regards the eligible investments, but it is subject to risk spreading requirements, here applying a general 30% concentration limit. The SIF may be organized under a corporate form or as a contractual form. It can be set up either as a standalone structure or as an umbrella. Service provider-wise, the same providers are necessary: depository administrator, auditor, and AFM, whereby the registered AFM is also mentioned here. In terms of taxation, the SIF is also tax exempt, but with a subscription tax of 1 basis point, which applies. And also here, certain exemptions from that subscription tax are possible. Coming now to the RAFE, which is one of the newest fund products which is available here in Luxembourg. It's the Reserved Alternative Investment Fund, which has been introduced in 2016 and allows fund initiators to set up a new type of alternative investment fund similar to the features of the SIF or of the CCAR, but which can be launched without requiring the prior authorization of the CSSF, and which is not subject to the regulatory supervision of the CSSF. As such, time to market of the product is much faster. There is no supervision through the Luxembourg financial regulator, but instead, given that a RAFE has to appoint an authorized fund manager, the prudential oversight on the structure is exercised indirectly through the manager. The RAFE offers a very attractive fund structuring solution and can implement all different types of investment strategies: private equity, real estate, hedge, infrastructure, debt, as well as listed securities. Everything is possible under the RAFE regime. And in terms of risk diversification, it follows the same approach as the SIF, or if it invests in risk capital, then it follows the same approach of the CCAR. So it basically mirrors these two types of regulated funds, just in an unregulated requirement. And like SIF and CCAR, it may only be offered to well-informed investors. Again, it can be set up as a corporate structure, as a partnership, or under contractual form, and requires the same service providers as the other vehicles. In terms of taxation, it follows either the regime of the SIF or the regime of the CCAR, depending on which status the RAFE has chosen. Coming finally to the last of the AIF structures, and I would like to speak some few words about limited partnerships. Not being subject to the supervision of the CSSF, limited partnerships are the most flexible of the structuring options among the AIFs. Because in addition to a few mandatory rules which are imposed by Luxembourg corporate law, all the features can be freely determined and the limited partnership agreement of the structure. There are no investment restrictions or limitations as such, but everything can be set out in detail in the LPA. Also, there are no investor eligibility requirements, but it has to be noted again that in terms of marketing, the marketing passport is only towards professional investors. If subject to the AIFMD, the partnerships have to appoint an AIFM. Registered AIFM is also possible here. And in case there is the fully authorized manager, also an administrator and an auditor is required. Those two are not necessary if the lighter manager, the registered AIFM, is used. Taxation-wise, the partnerships are tax transparent, which means that they basically don't exist for taxation purposes and are not taken into account. But on the counter side, as such, they are not eligible for double tax treaty benefits. But this can be arranged by structuring SPVs under the fund structures. And as such, a limited partnership are a very suitable alternative if a flexible, non-regulated alternative investment fund solution is desired. Finishing off with club deal and non-AIF investment vehicles, because under some certain circumstances, the fund initiator or the investors, they may wish to structure the vehicle outside of the regulation. As such, they structure the vehicle in a way not to fall automatically under the definition of an alternative investment fund, being collective investment undertakings, which raise capital from a number of investors with the view of investing it in accordance with the defined investment policy. So if we take away one or more of these elements, we're outside the scope of the regulation, which then in turn allows for more flexibility. So the different criteria are no investment policy, which can be done by listing all the target assets directly in the funds document or in the partnerships documentation, a pure holding purpose so as not to qualify as collective investment undertaking, no raising of capital by introducing club deal elements, or making use of the one investor exemption in order to say that there is not the existence of a number of investors. It goes without saying that the more elements are excluded, the safer it is to determine that a certain structure does not qualify as alternative investment fund. And then as a result, if this is achieved, the structure can be set up in a very light manner, meaning no regulated manager is required, no depository will be required, no auditor will be required, and the administration, fund administration function can be very, very light. As such, a very flexible vehicle can be created. For tax reasons, and in order to avoid company taxation here in Luxembourg, the non-AIF vehicles are typically set up as limited partnerships. But it has to be noted that the fund, in these circumstances, the fund management services are not exempt from VAT. Coming now quickly to the different service providers and stakeholders in the setup of an alternative investment fund. I've mentioned most of them already during the presentation of the different vehicles. As we see, the AIFM, the depository, and the central administrator are the key ones, the required ones. In addition, delegation is possible. A delegated investment manager can be appointed, or an advisor in case the advisor setup is chosen. CSSF, of course, comes into play when the fund vehicle is a regulated one. And making just a little bit of advertisement for my own profession, a legal advisor is always necessary, or we can only recommend to use a legal advisor when setting up the fund structure, which helps for the structuring, the preparation of the documentation, and regulatory approval procedures in case required, in case there is a regulated product to be set up. So finally, how to assess which legal and regulatory status is the most appropriate when setting up an investment fund? Well, there are a number of questions which should be dealt with by the initiator, by potential investors, before or in order to be able to take this decision. So, is there supervision required? Yes or no? Do we need a regulated vehicle, or can we go with an unregulated vehicle? So this may also depend on the target investors, because some institutional investors may be willing to invest more into regulated products, while others, such as family offices, are perfectly fine with an unregulated product. Or is there a specific tax regime required? Do we require an opaque, so a taxable entity, which is then tax exempt, or are we fine to proceed on the basis of a transparent vehicle, where the vehicle as such is not taxed, but directly the underlying investors? Do we require compartments in the structure, so different ring-fenced portfolios which are independent from each other and can pursue different strategies, or can be dedicated to different types of investors? Or is there any specific requirement for investor eligibility or asset eligibility, or do we require certain risk diversification? All of these different questions will enable the fund initiator to choose the right structure from the Luxembourg Investment Fund toolbox. And also in terms of legal forum, the same. There are a couple of questions which need to be answered before starting the setup of the fund. Is like, is there a need for tax transparency? Is a high degree of flexibility in the management required? How is it about contractual freedom? Is there an enhanced need for confidentiality? And just saying, if we answer the last couple of questions with yes, we're certainly in the territory of a limited partnership, which is more flexible, more confidential than corporate entities. But these questions help the fund initiator to, together with the investors, to determine which structure from the Luxembourg Investment Fund toolbox is the most appropriate for the purpose. Right. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thomas.
Please let me know in case you have any questions.
Thomas, thank you very much. Indeed, very, very useful information. So, colleagues, now you've heard the information in terms of tools and vehicles available here in Luxembourg to somehow proceed with your investment initiatives. And now I'd like to pass the floor to Ukraine Invest CEO Sergei Tsivkach, who may explain you a little bit more from the Ukrainian side. What are incentives big investors may get in Ukraine? Sergei?
Thank you, Svetlana. Thank you for invitation to this event. I will load up my presentation now. I hope you can see it.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
And I hope I can navigate. Yes, all fine. So thank you very much for the invitation. Again, it's a great opportunity to talk to investors community. And I'll be talking about Ukraine, some incentives that are available, and some mechanisms that can be applied while investing in Ukraine. So first of all, macroeconomics. You can see that our GDP has shrunk by 29.1% in 2022. Now we're steadily growing. We have positive forecasts for 2023, 2024, but way more needs to be done. You can see top investors in Ukraine on the chart, and also you can see that our currency had a significant drop in 2022, but since October 2022, we are more stable. So what kind of incentives are available to investors in Ukraine? Companies can get up to 30% of state support of the investment capex. State can construct related infrastructure for projects. Investors can get up to 10 years of corporate income tax relief. And also specific industries can have special incentives. For example, manufacturers of electric vehicles can get CIT relief till 2036. What you can get in addition to that? In addition, you can get a special investment agreement with the government of Ukraine, where this is also kind of a de-risking exercise, where you can choose applicable law, you can choose dispute resolution mechanism that will be applicable to such contract. Also, the contract will stipulate and fix business conditions at the time when you sign such a contract. And also, if you will incur any losses that will be related to actions of the state, you will be eligible for a compensation. In addition to war risk insurance that can be provided by Ukraine, hopefully soon, because we have special draft laws in the Parliament of Ukraine, and National Bank of Ukraine is working on such schemes, as well as our international partners that already provide war risk insurance. These conditions make Ukraine more interesting for investors. And at the moment, we have 10 projects that are preparing their applications according to the law. So let me tell you a bit about investment advantages of Ukraine. So we have 19 FTAs with 46 countries. We are EU member candidate country since 23rd of June 2022. Unfortunately, the reconstruction cost, according to World Bank, is more than $400 billion. And experts say that this figure is way higher when you count also not only direct but indirect losses. So this is unfortunate kind of series of events connected to illegal military invasion of Ukraine. But this is also an opportunity for investors because you can invest in country and you can run a profitable business. Ukraine was very attractive in terms of nearshoring. And in 2021, Savills nearshoring index put Ukraine at second position out of 40 countries that were assessed because we are very well positioned to do the right shoring exercise, as we call it. So it's the nearshoring to jurisdiction where you can run your business in the most effective mode. Investment opportunities in Ukraine. Those are kind of hundreds that I can talk about from different sectors. On this slide, you will see only some of them. So this is not the full list, but these are the projects that are available and we can talk about to them. So for example, construction materials sector. We need at least $1 billion in investments to build new facilities to produce energy efficient construction materials. Industrial equipment for companies. We need at least $25 billion of investments to bring new technologies and new equipment to Ukraine. Energy efficiency, a big one. At least $27 billion needed to ensure energy efficiency in industrial sector, in households, residential sector, and also in transport. And this is very important not only for foreign companies because they'll be able to supply their products and their equipment to Ukraine and produce in Ukraine, but also very important for Ukraine because if we will bring this investment to Ukraine, then our companies, our households, they will pay at least $7 billion less every year in utility bills. 20 plus fields for oil and gas exploration, and this is only state-owned company Ukernafta. They are working now on attraction of investors, so I encourage you, if you are from this sector, if you work with this type of investments, talk to Ukernafta or talk to us and we will put you in touch. And as I said, this is not in any way a kind of extensive, full list of investment opportunities. This is just a flavor what can be done in Ukraine now and what will be happening. You can see the map of Ukraine. In red, you can see the territories that are temporarily occupied by Russian forces. And you can see the rest of the territory and territories where new investments were announced since 24th of 2022. So you can see the distance between front lines and between the territories where these investments are taking place. When we look at Ukraine, it's well, we are quite significant in terms of size, so we can easily fit between Kiev region, Zhytomyr, Volyn region, 2 or 3 smaller size European countries between these regions and the front lines. So it's a big distance. It's very hard to say that Ukraine is risk-free, but it's a very different place connected to the situation at the front line. So investors, they need to understand that as well, that business is happening, Ukraine is open to business. So some of the examples: Carlsberg announced investment of $40 million, CRH Semark, $30 million, Bayer, $65 million, Nestle, $40 million, Kingspan, $300 million, Cerzanit, $60 million. And these are only new international investments. Ukrainian investors are active as well because they need to reinvest, and this is happening. So investments in amounts of hundreds of millions of dollars are happening now. We definitely need tens of billions and more, but also we need to remember we are at the state of the war. So provided that we are at the active stage of the war, this is a very positive result from my point of view. State support. Going back to those 30%, so what exactly can you get if you apply under the scheme for state support for investment projects? CIT exemption that I mentioned, also exemption from VAT on import for equipment, exemption from import duties on equipment, construction of or compensation to build engineering and infrastructure grids, lease of state or communal land without land auctions and free of charge if there will be a relevant agreement with local authority. And also land tax exemptions and exemptions from losses for forestry production. Who can qualify? The law has been updated recently. It has been passed in the Parliament of Ukraine, and the President of Ukraine signed the law. So now the threshold for investments has been lowered to 12 million euros. You need to create at least 10 new jobs, and this is a progressive scale depending on what kind of technology and how much you invest. Project of implementation time up to 5 years, and investor needs to construct or modernize facility in Ukraine. Sectors of economy that qualify under the law are quite vast. These are production of biogas and biomethane, oil processing industry, waste management, transportation, warehousing, postal and courier activities, logistics, hospitality, tourism, healthcare, R&D, education, extraction of raw materials, electronic communication. So you can see that many projects, they will fall under jurisdiction of this law. Special investment agreement. It will be signed for up to 15 years. As I mentioned before, you can choose applicable law and dispute settlement mechanism. And there will be an agreement signed between investor and the government of Ukraine that will be presented by Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine. You have a couple of next slides. You can study them in details. I will go through them briefly. So when investor wants to apply, he can contact Ukraine Invest, and we will explain all the details of the legislation, including bylaws. And we will be helping you to go through preparation stages. So we'll be explaining to you how to prepare feasibility study, how to present your financial modeling, how to prove that you have financial resources to build this facility, and how you need to prepare the whole presentation and application to apply under the law. As long as we will be going through the process, we will be advising you when you are ready to apply. When you will apply, the application will go to the Ministry of Economy, and then Ministry of Economy and all relevant governmental stakeholders, such as Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Environment, Anti-Monopoly Committee. They will be also screening this application. And within 2 months since application, Ministry of Economy will give you an answer if you are eligible to proceed and then to pass on this application to the Cabinet of Ministers. So 2 months for screening process by the Ministry of Economy and other governmental stakeholders, and then up to 2 months for the Cabinet of Ministers to reassess the application again and to make a decision whether you will have a signed application with the government of Ukraine. There is also a possibility to sign tripartite agreement with the local government. If you will be given a land, for example, without an auction by a local government, then you will have a third party. So there will be Cabinet of Ministers, regional administration, and investor. So this is a very good way of stipulating responsibilities of an investor to conduct such investment project in Ukraine, and also responsibilities of the state of Ukraine, because state of Ukraine will guarantee that business conditions will not apply to, if they will be changed, they will not apply to such project, and you will have all those benefits that I mentioned previously. When you submit application, you need a number of documents. You will need a certificate of applicant's ownership structure, audited reports, feasibility study, draft special investment agreement, documents confirming availability of financing, certificate confirming absence of arrears of taxes, certificate confirming that applicant has not been declared bankrupt, copy of an official document confirming legal status of an applicant. And investors cannot be from countries that attack Ukraine, as we call them, terrorist countries that terrorize and initiated a illegal war against Ukraine. And beneficiaries also cannot be from those countries. Application procedure. I already have gone through that briefly. I will share this presentation with Svetlana, with organizers, and you will be able to study this in more detail. This is a one slide only. If you need more information, you can get in touch with Ukraine Invest, and we will assign a manager who will guide you through the process. What else can we do for you? So we are responsible for attraction of investors. We also responsible for organizational, informational, and advisory assistance in preparation of investment projects according to the law that we have just discussed. Also, we act as your partners when you need to get in touch with state authorities, local authorities, or businesses in Ukraine. Maybe you're looking for a partner, so we'll be happy to provide that support to you. And all our services are free of charge on behalf of the government of Ukraine. This is my last slide, but it's also very important because you can see a QR code here. QR code to Ukraine Invest Guide. You can see information here about regions of Ukraine, about investment projects that are available right now. You can see analytics, macroeconomics, and we update these documents on quarterly basis, so you can have a small QR code with a lot of analytical information about doing business in Ukraine. Below you can see our details. Please do get in touch with us, get in touch with European business associations. They are our strong partners. We're very proud to be working with you. Thank you very much for your support. Director of European Business Association is also on our supervisory board. Thank you to Anna Derivanka for the great work she's doing. So we operate since 2016. Since 2020, we have supported attraction of more than $1.7 billion in FDIs into Ukrainian economy. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergey. Thank you for very useful and applicable information for potential partners of Ukraine and potential investors. We've heard from business associations. We've heard from service providers and supporters of Ukraine. Let's hear the voice of real businesses right now. So I'd like to pass the floor to Yulia Bereshenko, Astarta. She will explain and share with you how her company is managing current challenges in Ukraine. And she will also present very interesting project, which is already placed at our investment map. Yulia, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Just bear with me, I'm going to share my screen. And make it a full screen. Just a brief word of introduction about Astarta. It is one of the largest agricultural and processing companies in Ukraine. And its history is already more than 30 years. Since 2016, it's a publicly listed company in the European market in Warsaw. And we built our business around the following business segments. First, it's primary agriculture. We are one of the largest leaseholders of agricultural land in Ukraine. We cultivate more than 200,000 hectares across 7 regions. And our annual output is around 1 million tons per year. We are the largest grower and processor of sugar beet in Ukraine. We have 5 sugar beet plants which process into white sugar. We also grow soybeans and we process them into soybean meal and oil. And we have very sizable dairy farming operations with production output of over 100,000 tons of milk. If we are looking at our data, and you're welcome to visit our website and see more detailed information on our business segments, you can see that we are one of the largest growers of grain and oilseeds in Ukraine. However, since Odessa and seaborne transportation routes have been closed to Ukraine, we had to respond by reducing our acreage of corn and wheat because exporting those commodities without deep water ports is very cumbersome and very expensive out of Ukraine. Therefore, we increase acreage under soybeans, under sugar beets, those commodities which we can process internally. If anyone asks us what was the most important event for us business-wise in the last 12 months since Ukraine is fighting the war, it is the opening of the European markets. We believe that Ukrainian sugar, which is produced from non-GMO sustainable sugar beets, is totally in line with European decarbonization and Green Deal agenda. Our decarbonization projects in this area cover growing sugar beet through regenerative agriculture, sequestering carbon in soil while we are growing our commodities, and also when we process sugar beet into the ready product to use renewable energy. We believe that Ukraine can become a sustainable sugar beet and sugar supplier of sustainable products to European markets. And this was evidenced during the last season when Ukraine exported around 200,000 tons into the European markets. So we believe that we would like to become a partner of Europe in the longer run with our products. Another product that is gaining prominence in our product portfolio and also in line with European sustainability agenda is soybeans and the products derived from it. Soybeans is only 1% of the total farming area acreage in Europe, so Ukraine has become one of the key partners for Europe alongside Brazil and the US. European carbon footprint is 15 times less than the one which is imported from the US. And it is deforestation free, it is non-GMO product. So there is a growing demand for Ukrainian sustainable products from oil seeds. This year, the farmers responded by increasing acreage under soybeans, and we expect harvest 1 million ton higher than last year. And we believe that we can become a long-term partner in the EU in these products. Our company is processing more than 200,000 tons of soybeans into two core products, soybean meal and soybean oil, which is primarily supplied to the European markets. Around 70% of soybeans processed are coming from our own farms. And we control the quality, the origin, and the whole traceability chain for the soybean products that we are producing. One of our biggest projects for developing our business and expansion is production of soybean concentrates from the mill. The purpose of this project is to further process soybean meal into feed SPC, which can be a value-added product for livestock, aqua feed, culture growers in Europe. The project is over $60 million. It is an extension of our crushing facilities in the Poltava region. We developed this project together with international development institutions, and this project has been registered for the government support through Ukraine Invest program. Again, this project has additional benefits in terms of sustainability. As I explained, it is the products which is coming from sustainable non-GMO soybeans. It also helps to preserve biodiversity in Europe of when aquaculture is grown in the key markets of Scandinavia by replacing fish meal with soybean concentrate. As an additional benefit of this project is the byproduct of soybean crush and melassa can also be fed into our biogas facility, which produces renewable energy. Currently, our bioenergy facility is using sugar beet pulp and animal manure as a main feedstock. With a new project, we will be able to ramp up production of biogas. I would like to finish my presentation with a few words about Astarta's sustainability profile. We believe that we are one of sustainability leaders, not only in Ukraine, but also in Europe. Since our business includes downstream and upstream operations, we focus our efforts on all sides of our business in order to develop sustainable future for the generations. We have retooled our sugar mills from consumption of coal for natural gas, but now we are moving into burning plant pellets instead of natural gas in order to get rid of fossil fuels in processing. We are increasing production of renewable energy. First of all, this is biogas facility, and secondly, using plant pellets in sugar making. We are moving into regenerative agriculture and carbon farming. We developed a unique software solution for precision farming, and it is used to preserve inputs while growing crops on our fields, not just by a startup, but it is also used by third-party farmers on 350,000 hectares of land. We practice reduced tillage at more than 100,000 hectares of land and organic farming on 2,000 hectares. And we also have plans to further decarbonize our primary agriculture by increasing acreage under cover crops and reduced tillage. We joined a pilot project with Agrina, a Dutch solutions provider for decarbonizing agriculture, and we're working on a pilot of 7,000 hectares of land to produce carbon credits for the European markets. We are looking at our off-takers to recognize the regenerative practices in crop growing, and those who would like to seek ingredients from regenerative farming, and we would like to become their supplier of choice. And we are working with the global leaders in this respect, with Nestle, with ABCD Global Traders, which are now focusing on sourcing regenerative agriculture ingredients for their business. Last but not the least, we as a public company, as one of the largest European agricultural producers, fully committed to disclosing our decarbonization footprint and strategy. We have been reporting under a GRI since 2017. We are reporting our GHG emissions under international protocol since 2019, and we are working on our decarbonization strategy to be fully in line with European decarbonization food path. Thank you very
Julia.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation and for the work you are doing. Let me just outline, dear participants, if you have any questions with regard to presentations from our speakers, please feel free to contact us for more details. And now I'm passing the floor to our final speaker, GR Agra, Artem Rempen. Please, Artem, present your project. By the way, just for speakers to know, unfortunately, we do not see you. We just see your presentations. So, Artem, I really, yeah, wow, thank you. Now it's much better. Artem, the floor is yours. Keeping in mind that the audience is sitting already for a long time, I would ask you not to lose them, just to be up to the point. But my first question, before you go to the presentation of your wonderful project, just a little bit about the region you are working in and the sector. Thank you.
Yes, first of all, thank you for opportunity to participate in such important event. We're working in closely to agricultural sector, and we creating supply chains for agricultural products to international markets. Now, agricultural sector in Dnipropetrovsk region working mostly at 100%, decreasing of cultivated areas is only 5-10%. It's not too much. Only things that change, have a big changes, it's structure of crops. Our region goes to oil seeds like rapeseed, sunflower, particularly soybean, because they have better margin at present. Because our region have biggest trouble is logistics. We have close at Black Sea ports. It's classical ports for our region. We go in transportation by trucks to Dunabe ports, to Europe, but we have big trouble with import ban from Slovakia, Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, and Hungary. It's additional 600 till 1,000 kilometers for export to end buyers. It's Germany, Italy, Austria, and but we going. Our farmers going. We going with our farmers. Some deals is unprofitable, and for us and for farmers, but always working. Storage facilities working on 100%. Processing plants in our region is almost all start to work. It's sunflower seed processing, 4 plants. It's biggest mills, Dnipro mill, and they start working in new season. Railway going, trucks going, everything going to Europe. But all supply chains of agricultural products now going to Europe from our region.
Thank you. Let's move on with your project.
Yes, a few words about our company. We have 6 storage facilities in Zaporizhia region. It's now occupied 4 in Dnipro region, and 1 in Vinnytsia region that we buy it before 2 days before war started. We have 35 trucks to deliver grain for all the Europe now. And next step in our life of our company, it was starting production, processing of agricultural products. It was 2 projects before the war starting. First, it was feed mill, big feed mill plant, 13 tons per hour in Zaporizhia region, but now it's stopped because facility in occupation. And second, it's plant-based milk production on basis of one of our storage facility in Varvarivka, Pavlograd area in Dnipropetrovsk region. It's was this place good that it have 2 points. One working like a grain storage classically. Second, can be modernized for the plant-based milk production plant. No, it's not a small production. It's a real plant. Base idea: this market growing in Europe on 100% per 5 years. But all producers of the plant-based milks, mostly oat milk, they working with their brands. You can't buy plant-based milk in some Tesco or Kaufland or Lidl with private label. You can buy only with brand. But our idea is made it for private label from domestic nets. It's like ATB, Silpo, Shan, Metro, Novus, Varus, approximately 30% of production capacity of the plant, and 70% it's for European buyers like Lidl, Auchan, Tesco, Carrefour, Kaufland, and other players of this market. All raw materials is made near, it's around 50 kilometers from facility. Facility have buildings for storage, cleaning, and the preparation of it's already there of raw materials. Second part of this it's already building, but need some works with them, with electricity, with gas supply, and can use it. We have a pre-engineering documentation with technological equipment suppliers, and we have in this area we have enough lands to make we have enough raw materials for this production.
We got this. So enough
Yeah.
raw materials, and the place of location is also quite convenient.
Yes, and also we know in Europe mostly production of this plant-based milk going with some cardboard packaging. We want to make it in new ecological bottles that made in Europe, and all equipment from the Europe, and it will be mostly ecological plant-based plant. But at present, I don't know how it will be next plants that open it in Europe, but at present it can be mostly ecological for this.
Thank you, Artem. Thank you so much. Actually, the details of this project are also available at Investment Map. And as all our participants may see, these two projects that were presented today, they are also keeping in mind the green and ecological agenda of the European Union. So these companies may become, or these projects may develop into a significant part of the whole value chain that is developing in Europe and single market of Europe. And actually, this very week, EBA and Global Business for Ukraine are also invited to participate in EU Industries Days in Malaga, where this single market development and contribution of Ukrainian businesses would be one of the focus topical to be discussed. Artem, thank you very much. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I really thank you for being here today in live session, and our online participants for joining and for supporting us. If you have any questions with regard to the projects that were presented today, Investment Map, EBA, Global Business for Ukraine, Ukraine Invest, our partners Valeria and her fund, and presentation provided by Thomas in terms of vehicles you may use when thinking about investing to Ukraine, please feel free to contact us. Once again, Slava Ukraini. Thank you so much. Давайте вот это станемо тут.